Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Photographer Mindset Podcast. I'm your co-host, Seth Macy.
I'm your co-host, Aaron Manis. You must be a Rick Rubin fan. The audience comes last. Social media last.
I actually haven't read his book yet. It's on my list along with a million other books. But I have listened to several podcasts and I definitely enjoy his thoughts.
Yeah.
That seems to be a controversial opinion. I've seen so many people take both stances on that, and both stances being from artists.
Yeah, are you really an artist if you're trying to cater to the world instead of like expressing your own vision?
Yeah, I guess like to play devil's advocate, you are sharing it. So there is some hope that it lands because you could essentially just create, right? You could just create and not share.
Okay. Well, okay. So I like it when it lands with people. I like it when I change someone's mind about something, but that has zero effect on whether it was worth the effort or not. Like I get all of the benefits once I finish processing the image, and whatever comes after is just like a bonus. It's not an expectation or a requirement, or like I don't need any kind of external validation.
Fair.
It's clear his artistic bubble involves him and his what he gets out of the art. If it lands, that's something, or doesn't land, it's not going to change his process. He's not gonna put up a photo of birch trees that meant a lot to him for whatever reason, and that moment meant a lot, and it gets 0 likes, and be like, well, I'm never fucking doing that again.
Exactly. It's not going to sway my opinion either way, because that's also another trap. Like if you post a photo of something and it blows up and goes viral, and you're like, oh, I'm going to be the fucking whatever guy. I can't think of anything right now, but and you just want to like recreate that success, and then you just like become redundant because your motive is no longer pure. You don't have like you're driven by external validation.
I've seen a lot of decent photographers early on, kind of when drones started to get really nice, get attention for their drone fall shots, and then they're now drone photographers, and like feel like they can't come back.
Or they like photograph a naked girl in a landscape, and then
that's
obviously they get a lot of likes.
Game over.
Yeah,
game over.
You're doing it.
Yeah. So, do you think would it be fair to revise it to the audience comes last, but it does matter? Or not even that? It's almost this weird paradox, because if the audience, so in the Rick Rubin case, the fact that he did not care about the audience is what led to his success. But then the fact that people liked it also led to his success.
I think there's a difference between art and business. So when art becomes business, there's a difference than the art and the artist. Right. And people try to start to monetize it, then the audience does matter. But does it matter to the artist, or does it matter to all the middlemen and producers and record labels, or whoever's running the gallery for you, or putting your photos up in the restaurant? Do you have a following? Are you going to bring people in? Are you going to advertise it? Like, then it becomes a different game versus someone that's truly. Photography is tough too. And Seth, we've talked about this a little bit too, where it's like, it's a skill, I think, that you can get a lot of attention for at a middle level versus, I'm trying to articulate this. There's a lot of piano players in the world. There's only a few where you're like, holy, like that's a piece of your body, that piano. If you go on Instagram, I could see a million photographers that have like, that's a great moment that you captured with this really nice equipment. Like, great job. But the art of photography, the everything that it used to be and can still be, there is a difference. There's a difference between like curated pop music and someone that like spent 4 years writing like their memoirs into an album, and like it's just for them. Or Bon Iver, who went into a cabin after a breakup with 2 microphones and a guitar and made an incredible album. Like there's for no one but his breakup in a sense. And then it becomes big. But
the pure stuff is always the most impactful, and it doesn't always become popular. But it I don't know. I think I've always like operated under the philosophy or hope that if I do my very best and do what I care the most about, it's most likely for other people to care about it as well. But like I've also just been very lucky. It's not like I've done things to make it work financially, thankfully. And that's the thing, I never would, because it would defeat the whole purpose of this pursuit, like of being a full-time photographer. So if for whatever reason it stopped working out financially, instead of like betraying my integrity and doing things that I don't feel comfortable doing for the sake of making a living, I would just do something else to make a living. Because this is very sacred to me, and I very actively protect it any way I can. Because it's just like, such a great, enriching experience in my life.
That's a great point. I mean, we've heard people all the time who say, "Oh, I want to become a photographer because I want it to be my living." And I say, "Well, why? If you want to make money with your camera, if that's the sole reason you want to get into photography, that doesn't really make much sense. I mean, if it's just about the money, you could go do anything else and have the exact same outcome. Like there has to be I think you need to be further on the artist spectrum than the businessman spectrum. To an extent. I think it's smart if you can figure out ways to monetize. But I mean, if that's your sole reason, I don't really, as you said, it doesn't make much sense because I can go be a mechanic, I can go be a pilot, I can go do anything, really.
Yeah,
right?
I see a lot of nature photographers become nature photographers so they can teach workshops. And like for me, I was never like, oh, I'm going to become a photographer so I can sell tutorial videos and books and teach workshops. Those are just things that naturally happen when people reached out to learn from me without any
sharing a workshop
initiative on my own.
You're on something you care about. You're sharing a workshop on something you care about. I mean, in your example, if it's just about selling workshops, go sell a workshop on something you're really passionate about, whether it's yoga or mountaineering or whatever.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right?
Yeah, I think perfectly.
So there was another quote in one of your videos. Pulling a lot from those, but that's okay. It's full of good stuff. You said so much of our time as photographers is spent not actually photographing things, which is so true. You know, we're driving places, we're in the shower, scrub-a-dub-dub. How are you practicing photography when you physically don't have a camera in your hand? And part 2 to this question, when is it beneficial for you to just think about anything else other than photography?
Yeah, so I'll answer the second question first. I'm never actively thinking about photography. Cool. Unless I don't know, like if I'm editing a tutorial video, you know, that's pretty focused, but I'm never like actively thinking about like practicing photography, taking a photo. I am always actively observing my surroundings, no matter where I am. If I'm inside my house, I notice light coming through the window, unique things, small miracles created by nature all around me. I'm observant of people, their gestures, and I'm a careful listener. That's kind of just like a natural character trait that I have, but it's also something I've tried to develop because I feel like you can learn a lot of things if you're quiet and you're just like attuned and observant of the world around you instead of always like actively doing stuff and speaking and things like that. So I feel like, like one of the best things you can do is just learn how, like, I think that's kind of a fallacy that a lot of photographers are guilty of, like thinking that you just turn it on when you're somewhere spectacular and you have your camera in your backpack, as opposed to something that you can actively engage in and practice 24/7 by just looking at things closer, decluttering your mind, and being an open receptacle for different things around you.
So being in a state of almost constant immersion.
Mindfulness. Yeah.
It's amazing. I did not do photography my whole life, but the change in the way you see things, and it was, this is 6 years ago starting this, and just especially when you're passionate about something and you have that rocket booster of like obsession in the beginning, you start to really recognize that I am looking and scanning everything. Every leaf that's turned in a weird way, like it gets you the dog head tilt, like, oh, that's interesting. And just the fascination with patterns in nature and how many photos you take in the beginning, and trying to keep that rocket booster as long as you can, and keep noticing things and keep pointing things out. My photography friends that live local, like those are the only people that text and are like, look at the clouds today. And it's like, yeah, they're photographers. Like they notice like, wow, that's cool, or like that's different, or that's unique. Like those are the people that notice the world. And it's kind of like a sixth sense, like you get a different view on everything. And maybe that's where like the city, like head down, like financial mindset of like money and business, like I just don't understand, because it's like, I feel like you have like, I want to rip the blinders off. It's
super shallow.
In the woods. It does seem, I'm not judging, and maybe it's a whole different world, maybe one that I just don't understand. And they might say the same thing to me. Like you don't get numbers, and you don't, this idea of,
it's a fair judgment. The natural world existed before.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure. I was just trying to be nice to our financial listeners.
Sometimes I'll catch myself, like if I'm talking to somebody and there's like a tree behind them and it's like perfectly centered behind them, I'll like take a few steps to the side so the tree's like in a more pleasing spot, like according to their
Sorry, I was
body.
just placing you better in the scene.
Yeah.
Just to enjoy the moment a little more, make it more aesthetic.
You were standing in the wrong.
I grew up skateboarding, and before I got into photography, I would constantly see like urban environments in terms of like, could this be skated in a certain way, like connecting objects together to see if you could like, if there's like a small bank, like if you could launch off of it and like grind on a handrail or something, or like the height of ledges and rails and things. Like I was always like viewing the world through that lens. And then I noticed once I got into photography, I was kind of just automatically composing everything as well. It's just something that happens. And I still like look at urban environments in terms of like whether it can be skateboarded or not.
There's a quote from Adam Carolla that says he drives by and he sees a kid skateboarding and he goes, I know that kid's going to be all right. And I think getting into the practice of practicing skateboarding and the repetitions, and I want to do a kickflip and it's going to take me 1,000 times and broken bones and whatever it is to get there. What has skateboarding taught you in terms of that quote in life and with photography?
Yeah, definitely perseverance. Definitely physical pain isn't the worst thing that can happen to you. Resilience, a lot of mental fortitude, because you can go crazy knowing you can do something, but not being able to. And sometimes, having it take several days, having to return and try again, and just like being defeated, but not being ultimately defeated on a constant basis.
Yeah, it's that. And when he said that, I was like, music too. If someone got through the pain of learning guitar or piano or any instrument, they kind of get the blueprint of, this is going to suck and I'm going to suck, but I want to get past that. And a lot of people stop at this sucks and not for me.